how is AI reshaping learning and development strategies for technical professionals today?
AI is a foundational component of modern learning and development strategies. For technical professionals, it's impacting a few key areas. So, one is personalized adaptive learning journeys. Two is using AI to drive skills intelligence and real-time gap analysis. And number three is faster production of high-quality training materials. AI can manage scheduling, certification tracking, progress monitoring, so L&D teams can focus their energy.
Many AEC organizations are struggling with implementing AI effectively into their organizations, especially when it comes to learning and development and leadership development. Well, if you're struggling, you've come to the right place. In today's episode, I'm thrilled to have with me Jessica Bishop. Jessica is certified in learning design from ATD. She's also the director of talent acquisition at XTIUM, and she's been working with AI and integrated into XTIUM's learning and development programs. And today she's going to talk about how AI is really reshaping learning and development for technical professionals. We'll talk about what the baseline AI literacy should be for your employees across technical organizations and how leaders can really integrate AI into learning and development programs to get the most. We'll also talk about how to figure out which AI tools you should be using in your organization. Lots of good stuff here. This is an action-packed episode. Now, before we jump in with Jess, I do want to mention one thing. I want to tell you about our event, AEC PM Connect. This is a series of project management events for AEC leaders and project managers looking to elevate team performance, lead with purpose, and deliver measurable results. Across multiple locations each year, with our events, you'll explore real-world strategies for project delivery, leadership, and technology like we're talking about today, AI in project management. You can learn more about our events at aecpmconnect.com. I'm your host, Anthony Fasano, and this is the AEC Leadership Podcast. All right, Jess, welcome to the AEC Leadership Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. I appreciate being here.
Excited to have you. So maybe the first thing you could do is just let our listeners know what it is that you do at XTIUM.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am our head of talent acquisition. So I do oversee our recruitment on a global level. We are a global company, but I also head up our learning and development teams, which I always say is kind of a passion for me. So
No, I know you're passionate about that. And we're going to talk today quite a bit about AI, how AI is getting involved with learning and development and how it's really having an impact there. So let's kind of start with the big picture here, Jess. How is AI reshaping learning and development strategies for technical professionals today?
Yeah. So already AI is a foundational component of modern learning and development strategies. Any platforms or content providers companies are using, they're most likely already using an AI tool to enhance their product. For technical professionals, it's impacting a few key areas. So, one is personalized adaptive learning journeys. Two is using AI to drive skills intelligence and real-time gap analysis. And number three is faster production of high quality training materials. Getting into the details of these, what did I just say? So, personalized adaptive learning journeys. AI systems are analyzing your learning behavior, your comprehension for topics, and the skill application to therefore continually optimize their training content. So, what does this mean for us? This means our professionals are getting role specific, just in time learning aligned with the technology and applications they're actually using. Second way is the skills intelligence. So modern L&D practices, those AIs capabilities are mapping the skills of the individual. So they know your role, they know your skill set, and then they're going to detect what gaps may be there. And then to take it a step further, they're going to predict your future needs in this role and how it's going to, extend over time. Lastly, like I said, of course, the faster production of all of our training materials, right? So, tasks such as drafting modules, creating videos, summaries, this all used to take weeks, and now it's just taking hours.
Hmm.
I think the most important part about this is it's helping to reduce that administrative friction that all of our L&D professionals feel sometimes. So AI can manage scheduling, certification tracking, progress monitoring. So L&D teams can focus their energy towards strategy, stakeholder partnership, and impact measurement, helping to better align our learning and business outcomes.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I love all that. And the one thing that I really like about that is the personalized learning experience. I think that's really important, especially based on I do a lot of project management and leadership development work at
Sure.
EMI, and we've continued to try to find ways to make it a better personalized experience. I mean, we build like custom programs for companies, but again, that's like custom to the company, right? It's not custom to the individual. And
Yeah.
so having ways like identifying someone's skills, we like to use this PM behaviors assessment that we built, right? It can really help them have a look into what their strengths and their weaknesses or their gaps are. And then as they go into this program, they can now really be laser focused on what they need as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm going to go through this program that my company's putting me through for even for my role. That's great. But your role is one thing, but your skill sets that you need and your behaviors are another thing. So I think that that is such a huge plus in terms of the return on investment for these programs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're seeing that, these capabilities help make learning smarter, faster, and more integrated into our workflow. Like you were just saying, that personalized approach. So
Yeah.
we're all able, at the end of the day, to be more productive and effective in our jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, and faster because we're not going to teach someone something they don't need, right? Because you can kind of
Exactly.
cut through all that and get to the chase of what that person or that
Yep.
team specifically
Yep.
needs, which is great. Strong project outcomes need skilled managers and competent leaders. EMI's corporate training delivers expert led courses in project management and people leadership, plus industry recognized certification and exclusive premium content to take your team even further. Elevate your team's leadership capabilities today. Visit engineeringmanagementinstitute.org and click on corporate training. So, Jess, as organizations begin experimenting with AI tools, what leadership or governance gaps tend to surface first?
Yeah. No question, Anthony. It's ethics and security. From a security standpoint, we have to consider what information is safe to put into an AI platform. What platforms are safe to use? There's also an ongoing discussion about what is ethically reasonable to have AI produce in our everyday workload. A great way to look at this is with school and the internet, something we're all, much more familiar with. So a teacher wouldn't accept a paper written solely by the internet, right? But that teacher does expect their students to utilize the internet to write that same paper. So companies need to ask themselves what ethical parameters should be put in place around allowing AI to support their workforce and the work they produce. And this is going to differ for each role.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that that's a real fine line that people have to walk these days because we certainly want to remain productive, keep our teams productive, save time where we can. But at the end of the day, we also are, delivering something that we want to, kind of put our name on, of course, right,
Yeah,
and stand behind. And so we
absolutely.
want to be comfortable with that information and knowing that you contributed to it in the right way. So yeah, I definitely think that that's something to think about. I think the other thing too that we've seen a bit is just having some kind of consistent guidelines, right, for your
Okay.
organization so that someone might say, am I allowed to use this? What can I can't use? I know we've done some training for organizations and we'll talk about, hey, time management or productivity. And they'll be like, oh, well, we don't know if we're allowed to use AI or what can we use, right? Which is obviously like a little bit of a miscommunication or just something that your organization needs to kind of wrap their head around. Otherwise, you don't know what people might use.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. We want people to still own their work that they're producing. But again, it's gonna differ for each role and the systems and applications we're using.
Right, right. So let's go there a little bit.
Yeah.
So as these companies are trying to scale AI adoption, they do need some kind of guardrails like we've
Yeah,
talked about. So how should leaders approach compliance, intellectual property, data protection, and that ethical usage that you mentioned so that, AI can really build trust rather than resistance within an organization?
I love that. AI building trust. That's so good. So truly, if you don't think your employees are using AI right now, you're wrong.
Right.
So,
That's right.
and utilizing these platforms, it's not a bad thing. It's not something we should run from or be scared of. But you're right. Parameters and guidelines have to be put into place. So truly, I highly recommend, leadership, IT, legal teams, we have to work together to create an acceptable use policy that's unique for your organization and works for you, right? You know, think about what authorized tools you're going to allow your employees to use. What is the appropriate use of that tool?
Mm,
Making sure your employees understand not to put, company data into these tools. On the other hand, what activities are absolutely prohibited? And most important, how is your company going to protect that data, ensure that it doesn't go out there with the rest of, the generative AI and what it's learning.
Yeah, that's interesting. So again, things to weigh, right, as you're kind of getting into these waters. So a lot of organizations, Jess, are kind of unsure about what kind of baseline AI literacy should look like. What does kind of foundational AI knowledge realistically mean for employees in a project driven kind of environment like the one we work in?
Mhm. This is something we're currently analyzing at our company as well. So AI has quickly gone from something that a few of us knew and play with to something that's essential for all professionals, really. Um, I always compare it to telling someone, 25, 30 years ago that they didn't need to learn email or Word or Outlook or Excel. And now these are all standard skill sets in almost every profession. So it really is critical after you set the boundaries of AI usage at your company to ensure there's basic knowledge training for employees and level that playing field a bit. Some of these intro topics could include keyword definitions, describing terminology, applications, methodologies. Gen AI is a great example. We hear that one all the time, right? I also think defining what AI can do and can't do. Although, give it some time and we may be changing that response.
Right.
Um, a
Like 10
big
minutes? No.
Yeah, right. Exactly, exactly. It's crazy. I think one of the biggest ones is prompt engineering. How to create well-structured prompts to get the results you're looking for. It's amazing what these technologies can do if you ask the right questions. And then lastly, I would say providing examples of how AI assistants could be used in common applications in your role. This is what we were talking about a little bit with personalized development paths. And the best part is you can just ask AI if you don't know.
Right. Yeah, of course. So to go a little deeper on that, you're currently building a structured AI learning and development
Yeah.
program within your organization. So how should leaders think about rolling out AI training intentionally instead of more reactively as it because like you said, things could change every so often. So how can you be intentional about this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much AI information out there. It's very easily to feel overwhelmed and honestly behind for those that haven't started exploring this technology and its capabilities. We found that the best approach is to design a training in order of necessity. So I'm going to start sounding like a broken record here, but I think we can all agree that the most important piece has to be security for the company, for employees, for our customers, our clients. So defining that acceptable use policy, that's the foundation. It's about setting parameters around AI compliance at your company. From there, we can ask ourselves, what's that baseline of knowledge we expect employees at our company to know? These AI practices, they're becoming a part of everyday work conversations. Nobody wants to feel left behind. Everybody's a little bit intrigued by AI right now. So make sure they have that baseline knowledge. From there, we can start getting into your industry a bit. So companies got to start looking at how AI is going to be adopted into their company or their industry as a whole. This technology, it's going to change the game no matter what industry you're in.
Mhm.
And we got to be ready to play. So start looking into, are there certifications or knowledge your professionals or your company are going to be required to have to show competency in your area of expertise. For many industries, professionals and companies, they're no longer going to be considered competent if they don't prove that they have the advanced skill sets in certain AI functions. You know, if you're producing, an RFP or something, and folks are doing this in a day or a week compared to the month it used to take you,
Right.
you're not going to be competitive anymore in that area. So ask yourselves what's going on in your industry. Lastly, that's when we can start diving into those personalized learning journeys and skill developments. And truly, I always say, empowering our employees to research how AI is being used to optimize their roles, that's the best way to go. L&D teams, we can't know everything. Managers, we can't be everywhere. But we can ask ourselves how I can use AI in my everyday tasks. Because truly, if you're not utilizing AI to its best capabilities in your role, someone else out there probably is. And that means they're doing your job better and faster. So, luckily, the good news AI can provide that unique development path for you, like we stated earlier in our discussion. So, the information's out there. It's just up to you to really go out and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of good stuff there. And I think the one thing that I think is really important for people to do, which you said, is checking, getting a heartbeat on your specific industry, right?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole of AI tools, right? You can invest in multiple ones. We had a company that invested in an AI platform for project management. It was a whole rollout investment, and then they ended up not using it because it didn't work that
sure.
well. So I think to Jess's point, if you call up 10 colleagues, so you'll probably hear 7 or 8 of them are using the same tool, right? That's probably the one you should be using in your industry as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel. So I think a little bit of research like that in your industry is going to be really valuable, and not just online research, but talking to some of your colleagues,
I know.
going to an industry event, checking in with some people in terms of what they're using. I think that's an important way to do it. I mean, we've been kind of do this with the project management. We've been holding these AEC PM Connect events to kind of connect project managers so they could talk about these things. Like, what are you
Mhm.
using for project management? What are you using for scheduling or whatever the case may be? And
Yeah.
I think that that's a really a good use of your time as you're thinking about the preparation for how to use this. And now, kind of taking the next step here is let's talk a little bit, Jess, about some of the kind of practical integration of these tools. Obviously, AI use is going to vary significantly across roles. So maybe you can give us some examples of how different departments like recruitment, HR, or even engineering teams might apply AI in kind of practical, workflow driven ways.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it too, because like I said, the amount of information out there, it can really be overwhelming
It's
if you're
crazy.
starting
Yeah.
to dive in there. So I'm going to start with what I know best, which is recruitment.
Okay.
Sourcing and talent discovery is a big one for us. Creating job descriptions, matching candidates to those roles, summarizing their experience. So instead of us spending hours reading through resumes and identifying these areas, AI can do that for us. Summarize the candidate experience, say this is the best match to the job description you've provided, and then we can utilize our extra time to do what we do best, and that's connecting with people, taking the time to speak to the right candidate and really getting to know them. I mean, we're cutting hours of sourcing. We're also reducing bias because, again, there's a system that's telling us this person is the best match for your role. And we're also ensuring that there's a consistent evaluation between all of those candidates that applied. Now, taking a step back from a larger HR standpoint, we already touched on my favorite topic, which is those amazing professional development journeys we can now have access to. But other than that, AI is going to play a huge role in workforce planning and organizational insights. It already is because it can provide data driven planning without all those weeks of analysis. Now, for our engineering and technical teams, adopting AI usage and its impact, it's definitely going to reflect uniquely in each role a bit more. But I did look up some examples of how specifically AI could be used for our civil engineers. So, engineering teams, as we know, they deal with massive amounts of data, tight schedules of projects, complex designs, and all that documentation that comes with it, right? So, research is showing how AI is now able to influence almost every stage of these projects, from design to maintenance.
Hmm.
Um, the first way is using generative AI and AI assisted modeling, right? It is really cool what these AI driven tools can do and help optimizing layouts, structural systems, and planning scenarios to propose to your clients. And they can do this in seconds, not weeks, not days. AI is also a great tool for estimation, scheduling,
Yeah.
and project takeoff. So they can extract, quantities from drawings, they can predict your cost better and provide a more realistic timeline for your project. It's no longer saying, well, I've done this before, it can take me this long. It's saying the data's here. This is what it took everybody else. This is what it's going to take you. And then, looking at the end of more that monitoring area, AI can analyze imagery from drones, cameras, sensors. So they're able to identify cracks, corrosion, deformation, and more about the structures that, have been put into place and now we're being asked to monitor.
Yeah. Well, great examples. And I think there's obviously you can see from some of those examples the time savings that can be
Yeah,
involved with
no
these
question.
tools and technology, which is pretty powerful. And even on like the project management side, because that's where we live a lot of the time, I've seen some of our clients building like these kind of PM customer support almost, if you will, like bots or agents where
Yeah.
one of their project managers can say, I need a kickoff meeting agenda. It goes through the server, pulls one out, spits it out, right? There it is,
Mhm.
right? Or, I'm preparing for this meeting, I need to do XYZ. Boom.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of ways you can use it. And like we talked about a few times already, checking on what's going on in your industry is going to be one way to make sure you're kind of selecting the right tools because I think that's where you can go down a bit of a rabbit hole or a
Yeah.
black hole, if you will, looking at a
Yeah.
hundred different softwares and trying to figure out the right one.
Yeah.
So maybe someone's already done that work for you and you can kind of get a feel for it. But obviously, some great examples. And there's so many different examples. And so the last thing I would ask you, Jess, is AI, like we've talked about and joked about a little bit here, is it's evolving like super rapidly and we're kind of all learning in real time as we go through this. So for those kind of AEC leaders out there that are listening today and they're trying to take kind of one practical step to move forward responsibly with AI in learning and development, which is I know where you spent a lot of time, where would you recommend that they begin with that?
Yeah. I mean, Juliet, and I think I said this already, but the time to prepare our workforce for AI was yesterday. So if you haven't started, the time is now. And you're certainly not alone. I think we're all kind of waking up to AI and its capabilities in 2026. But when you are ready, start with security. As a generation that's grown up with the internet, we know how much information is out there, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad. So set parameters around your employees' usage, protect your employees and your clients, empower your employees to learn, and then watch as AI not only accelerates your business, but redefines the meaning of success for your company.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, I think that's a great way to frame it out, right? Start with security, focus on that because you're dealing with sensitive information, not only client sensitive information, but the public, right?
Yeah.
If you're dealing with water systems, technical data, security data, these are things that are very, very important. So while it's easier to think, hey, our designers can do this faster, you do have to think about the security piece of it and coming up with some governance around it and an approach to it. And again, these are things we've talked about that you can talk with other companies, other firm leaders
Yeah.
about. I think this is actually a really good reason to attend industry events, right? To get a heartbeat on what's going
Yes.
on with these types of tools in my industry. Who can I talk to? I mean, you can probably, like I said, you can go to a conference and talk to 5 other companies and probably get a really good picture of what they're using and what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a betting person, but if I was, I would say I bet you there is an AI topic at every conference you attend this year.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, we have our PM Connect event we're doing in June. Our panel is AI and project management is one of the panels, right? I mean, it's just,
Mhm.
it's everywhere. And to me, where people get stuck with this is the beginning, right? Like they don't know
Yeah.
where to start. So they either don't start or they go in circles and they start looking at everything. And in one respect, I understand that you're trying to be smart and you're trying to be all encompassing and do your research. But at the same time, there's new programs every day, right? So, like I said, you'll go down a million rabbit holes, talk to people that have been there, talk to people that have done it. You can obviously find some episodes like this one where you can get some information from people that have been working on it. And we're hopeful that, kind of what we talked about today will help you, number one, with AI, certainly in your learning and development, practices, because that's a big part of leadership and leadership development, but also just in general with your
Yeah.
AI implementation across your organization, technical professions and beyond that. So, Jess, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a lot of great information here with us that we really hope that you out there can use to kind of build AI into what you're doing. And Jess, we just appreciate your time here on the AEC Leadership Podcast.
Yeah, you got it, Anthony. And thank you for having me. Hopefully, this information helps other companies start their own AI journey and look at it as an opportunity and not a hindrance.
Oh, I believe it will, because I think what we've kind of given him here is, some starting points, right?
Yeah.
Some check the box type of things that you can focus on first before you dive in too deep. And some of you that have dove in deep, maybe you want to step back a bit and say, wow, wait, did we
Yep.
think about that? Right. Let me recalibrate. Let me talk to someone and kind of go from there. So once again, Jessica Bishop. Jessica is with XTIUM. She is the director of talent acquisition, and she obviously gave us a lot of great examples around AI and learning and development. Thanks again, Jess.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jess. She has so much good information around this topic, and I hope she gave you some steps to get you going in the right direction in your AEC organization. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a regular basis to help AEC professionals become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.